win, the gimmick and wins. From beginning to end, no gimmick. If I rep it, dude, I live it then. And you can't do it, so ain't no need for mimicking. I'm not innocent, I'm on a mission, so let me finish it. Matter of time before they summon the army in. I'm probably on the FBI's most wanted list. I'm probably going to hung like an ornament. I'm on a life mission to abolish all the government.
Look around and tell me what you say, because it's coming down, are you listening? Stop and look, this is what I made. Yeah, it's going down, it's going down. Open your eyes, the state you're in is a state of mind. Freedom disguised, the state you're in is a state of mind.
What's up? What's up? How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Liberty Hour. Glad to be back on. I know we had to take a week off last week. I was originally going to have a podcast with a couple people, but just didn't end up working out, unfortunately. Something came up for both of them, and they had to cancel, so we just decided to end up canceling the podcast. But glad to be back on this week, and a lot of stuff to go over. I'll be going over much later in the show my predictions for the NBA playoffs, along with going over one thing in the wrestling business that was interesting. There was a fallout from WrestleMania. But before I get into all of that, there's a lot of stuff to go over with my friend who is on the podcast this week. I've had him on a couple times before. Glad to have him back on once again. My good friend Al Armitage. How you doing, Al?
I'm doing great. What about you, dude?
Good. I'm glad to have you back on. I know that, last time you were on was right before you were starting your senior year, and now, what do you know? You got about 4 or 5 weeks left. You're on spring break right now, and, I understand that, you, since you're part of the theater class at Lincoln, you just had a huge production that you guys were doing, Once Upon a Mattress, and so I was just wondering, how did that all go for you? Explain to me the experience of doing that play.
Oh, dude, it was amazing. For Once Upon a Mattress, I got to be the, I don't know if you're aware of the musical, but it's supposed to be kind of comedic in a way. And so I got the king. He was like the guy who was like miming everything, and like he couldn't talk. And then spoiler alert, he gets his voice at the end, and then he like has to yell out the queen and stuff. And so basically the whole musical, I'm just like trying to communicate with the audience and stuff of like what I'm trying to say to the jester and like the minstrel and stuff. And so basically I'm just like some goofball character trying to communicate with everyone, and it's so fun. And then like there's even like I probably have like 3 of my own songs in a way. Like I have one where I have to talk to my son about like how sex works. It's so funny. It's called Man to Man Talk. And then like there's like other ones like the jester, the minstrel, and I, and it's just so fun. And like I pretty much lost my voice because at the end I finally get to talk, and I just straight up just yelled at the top of my lungs. Like I just gave it all my all, like for energy wise. And it was just so fun, and like the audience enjoyed it, and everybody in the cast was just so awesome, and it was just overall an amazing experience.
So how many because obviously you put on multiple productions, how many of these productions did you put on for this play?
We put on 8.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, explain to the people a little bit about the play and what it's about so that they can get a general idea.
So basically, Once Upon a Mattress, it's about this prince who's trying to find a wife, but the queen, which is his mom, won't let him find a wife because she has this like weird romance thing with her son. It's really weird. And so basically the whole kingdom, they can't get married if the prince doesn't get married. So they're all like really egging on the prince to find the princess, right? And so the whole story, there's this person named Winifred, and she's like some outlandish, like odd, strange character that basically becomes the princess at the end. And she like basically the queen is trying to put her through this like these impossible test for her not to pass, so she doesn't become the princess. And basically at the end that she proves her wrong, and then she ends up marrying Dauntless, and then the whole kingdom gets to get married, or they're able to get married, and then the queen loses her voice at the end. So basically it's a really complicated whimsical musical, but that's just like the basics of it pretty much.
How would you describe your experience and your role with this play versus any others that you have been a part of at Lincoln High?
This was probably this is for sure my largest role that I've ever been in. And it was such an experience to just play to the audience and just have that reaction from people. It was so fun. And I hopefully I plan on doing more, because I love theater and it's just so fun.
Yeah, I got to actually, with, since I write for the State Hornet, I write for the newspaper at Sac State that I will be finishing up here probably in about a month or so. I actually, for one of my assignments for the arts and entertainment section, got to cover a couple stories. One was a preview, and one had to do with the costumes for the production of In the Heights, written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. And I found that pretty interesting, learning a little bit about that and stuff. So I'm starting to learn a little bit more about theater and production and stuff like that. And it definitely gives you a new respect for it when you actually learn about everything that goes into those types of productions.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what I was going to ask you is, in general, though, outside of not just the theater, but everything else that's going on, how would you say your senior year is going? Tell me a bit how you've been doing what you've been up to this senior year, what you've been experiencing. Tell me a little bit about that.
I think senior year has been pretty awesome so far. It's been pretty chill. English class is pretty easy, but I heard that we're starting Big Brother pretty soon, so that's going to be interesting.
So you do still do that, all right?
Yeah, and overall it's just been really low key and pretty chill. I mean, yeah.
Is this the year, or was it last year that you guys had the every 15 minutes program?
No, that was last year.
Okay, that was last year. Okay, I was trying to do the math in my head, and yeah, so 4 years from okay, that makes sense. I was gonna say, just because I have the Big Brother on my mind, the Big Brother project on my mind right now. What are you planning on doing for that?
I'm not sure. I didn't really think about it yet, because I was kind of busy lately. So, but me and my buddies, we have some ideas in mind for public events or something.
Okay.
And so, I'm not sure what we're up to, but we're going to do something.
Okay, gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
And then what I was going to ask you is, obviously, since you are graduating high school here in a little, about a month and a half or so, what are your plans going forward? Do you know where you're going to start off at college? Do you have an idea what you're going to be doing?
I plan on going to Sierra College at first. I don't really know what I plan on majoring in, which is kind of scary. But I either want to do something in theater or in the political realm, political science. Right now, I'm leaning towards theater because I'm just having a way good time with it. But I'm not sure if that's what I want to major in. But either, for now, I'm either thinking of theater or political science right now. But I'm not sure. Cool.
Well, that sounds awesome, man. That sounds great. One last question back to the Big Brother thing. Just for you, because you obviously haven't been a part of it, but you've gotten to experience, seeing it at least the last few years. How many people would you say, if you had to guess, do you think that actually apply that project, or at least learn about it enough to the point where they will understand the true evils of big government? How many people do you actually think will apply that to everyday life?
Probably not a lot, because from what I've seen over the years is just people just doing errands for teachers. And I've never really knew anything about Big Brother, because I've been kind of oblivious to it. Mm-hmm. But it seems like every year it's just students complaining about them having to do petty work for teachers. So I think what it's been in the previous years when I was there is that it's just people not having a good time and kind of people buying their grade in a way. So I think, in a way, not really no one's learning from this experience. I think people are just trying to get by high school. So yeah, I would say not a lot of people.
That too. And the thing is about the, paying off teachers thing and all that. obviously, if you don't do the project, you can do this big ass essay and stuff. But my thing is, I want to know like the legal ramifications of getting to pay off teachers to basically pay off your grade and stuff like that. Like, there's something really, in my opinion, like I'm sure there's other schools that have done projects like this, but there's something just a little bit off about that that I don't like about it, and everybody just seems to be so accepting of. But my thing is, it needs to teach a lesson to people, and I think that just by doing that, where people can pay off teachers and then they learn at least a little bit from the book. It's not enough because, first off, not everybody's going to read the book in its full length. And then B, when you actually apply that to real life, people actually don't understand how to do that.
Yeah, well, a lot of the teachers, at least this year, I don't know if they say it every year, but they said that they're going to try to do more things for Big Brother where, like, you can't really buy your grade and you can't really do petty work for teachers. So I think they're trying to fix that issue in particular. But I'm not sure if I really believe them.
Yeah. Well, it'll have to be seen.
They're probably bullshitting.
That'll be the next podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, but did you say I can't remember. You did the essay, right?
No, I didn't. No, what I basically did is, so whenever, depending on how well our golf team would do, we would get a certain amount of points for that. Basically, I didn't have to go out and do anything extra. If I went and helped out a little bit longer by helping people edit stuff for me being a sports editor for Zebra Tales, I would get maybe a couple points for that from my, TOF, the journalism teacher. Or whenever I had my show, I would get a few points. Even when I stomped on Big Brother's thing, I got points for that. So, wow. I mean, it was an interesting experience. The best thing that came out of it, though, was definitely in one of my shows, probably the best moment from the AJ Today show was when we had the lanyards of the Big Brother. I did a full 2 cents worth 10-minute package on the evils of big government. It was probably one of my better spiels of that time that I actually would say I still agree with to a full extent. And I basically said, well, let me tell you, this is what I think. Let me tell you when I say, and I threw the thing down, I took it off, and everybody was just like, oh, it was hella funny because it was like the biggest crowd.
I remember that.
It was the biggest crowd
there.
Because teachers were offering students like a certain amount of points if they actually came to my show, which was really cool because it got me to actually have the biggest crowd I think I ever had. Was like 250 people. But basically, I stomped on it and everyone went crazy, and it was probably the best part of the show. And because I was so hyped after that, I think I closed off the show like shit. But it was good. It was a fun moment. I got to say that was probably one of the better moments of my senior year. But
that's why I thought you did the essay, because that when that happened, I was like, oh, I guess you're not doing Big Brother.
Oh, no, I did it. I just didn't give a shit.
Oh.
All right. So anyways, away from high school stuff, let's get into an actual real issue here. I'm going to review it in this segment, and then this will lead us into part 2 of the podcast. So Julian Assange, and speaking about Big Brother, this is actually a perfect transition into this. Julian Assange has been arrested. So the WikiLeaks co-founder was arrested in London yesterday. Assange took refuge in the Ecuadorian embassy in 2012 to avoid extradition to Sweden over a sexual assault case that has since been dropped. It has been quite assumed by Assange and others that if he were to go to Sweden, he would be expedited to the United States to face trial for the things that were uncovered about the United States military back in 2010. But basically, at Westminster Magistrates Court on Thursday, he was found guilty of failing to surrender to the court. He now faces U.S. federal conspiracy charges related to one of the largest ever leaks of government secrets. The UK will decide whether to extradite Assange in response to allegations by the Department of Justice that he conspired with former U.S. intelligence analyst Chelsea Manning to download classified databases. Chelsea Manning, I believe, is actually in prison for something else right now. I forget exactly what it is. I'd have to look that up. But anyways, he faces up to 5 years in U.S. prison if convicted on the charges of conspiracy to commit computer intrusion. I will explain my thoughts on this entire situation. I know, and I will have you explain your thoughts on all of this in the next segment and the next part of the Liberty Hour. We'll be right back with part 2, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in.